Okay, people, there was a shooting here last night. Right across the street somewhere over there. I don't know where. So we have the police running around with their dogs, helicopters. See, there's new Mr. Police Officer. They're looking for clues. So far, they haven't found anyone injured. Oops, sorry. Or murdered. But we know what happens, people. Because when in doubt, call, right? So I called last night, and a whole bunch of other people called. Well, it wasn't even last night. It was like 6:30 this morning. It woke up the whole frickin' neighborhood. Can you hear the helicopter? There it is. It's up there, people. Right? I mean, when you got 10 people in the neighborhood calling because it woke everybody up. It was pop, 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 pow. Right? Sounded like gunshot. Although I'm not too sure, right? Just like I wasn't too sure over in that corner, right? And just remember, there's that video where 2 people were murdered in there and covered up in the brush. So, lots of people called last night. Right? Well, not last night, this morning. It was this morning, like 6:30 in the morning. Right? So, I don't know. City needs to do something with the level of poverty in this community. I'm telling you. Something needs to be done. And it's not locking up people either. That doesn't solve the problem. All that does is create hardened criminals. Right? See, everybody's just standing around being looky-loos. I bet you if we go down that way, we'll see the cop cars. Should we go see, Andre? Uh-huh. You want to go see? Uh-huh. Okay, we'll go see. So there you go. I'm not kidding. Right. They've marked everything off now. Right.
No, the police.
Yeah. They're looking for clues. Mm-hmm.
But,
They're looking for clues, Andre.
why do they have to look for clues?
Well, because whoever was shooting off a gun this morning at 6:30 in the morning took off.
But I didn't hear it.
Hmm?
I didn't hear it.
No, and it woke Netta up, and it woke up half the neighborhood because when I tried to call, I called on a non-emergency line. Come over here, Andre. It's raining, people. I don't want the camera to get wet, so I'm gonna come down here and go like this. So my side of the story is I was sleeping on the couch. Andre was there, and I heard poop, 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 poop. And it woke me up. And then poop. And I'm like, I'm struggling with myself. Do I call the cops or do I not call the cops? Was that a gun? I'm just trying to cover up the camera here, people. Was that a gun? Or was that just a car backing up or whatever? And all I could think about was those 2 young people. Well, I don't know if they were young, but the 2 men that were murdered in the field out there, right? Where I go and get rocks and whatnot. And their bodies were just covered up. And nobody really knew that they were there until somebody stumbled across them. And only because the neighbor called was complaining about the homeless population increasing and just that type of stuff, right? And so the cops went in there, and that's how they stumbled across the 2 dead bodies. So just because they haven't found anybody dead yet, because I asked the cop, I said, did somebody die? He said, no. I said, well, that's good. But that doesn't mean that whoever was shot, if somebody was shot, wasn't thrown into a vehicle and then the vehicle took off. Because if they're not finding anything, but they're all looking around, because you can see, there's 1, let's count the cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see 6. At least 6. Right? And we know they're further off in the streets and the corners, right? And down the block there more.
No, can we go say hi?
No, we can't. We can't cross the line, Andre, because it's an investigation now. Right? That's what it is. It's an investigation. They're trying to figure out what happened. Because when I called on a non-emergency line, because when in doubt, call, right? So I said, okay, I reminded myself of that video, and I thought, okay, just call. Even though you're not sure, just call. And so I called on a non-emergency line, and I was on hold for at least 8 minutes. I was on hold for so long I was getting mad. I was thinking that they were short on staff or something, but I guess that wasn't it, because other people had been calling. That's what it was, because when I got online with the lady, with the operator, she basically said that a lot of calls had already come in. So either people were awake when it happened, because it was like about 6:30 in the morning, or it woke them up like me, right? And so anyway, they're looking for clues, right? They're looking to see if maybe they can find a gun, or what it is, right? I mean, it must have been a gun for all these cops out here. It must have been, must have been.
No, please, I'll just go say hi.
No, we can't say hi. All right, people. Okay, so Andre is so determined to go cross the line here, and I'm trying to explain to him we can't. As you can see, it looks like it was shot into the house. Somebody was shooting at the house. Maybe that's what it was. Right, because there's big holes there, and they're talking about it. So, they're counting. See, 1. Because there was several of them. It was pa. Right? And like I said, it woke up the neighborhood. That's what it did. It woke everybody up, if they weren't up. Right?
No.
And whoever did it took off. And whoever was in the house at the time took off. Right? Oops, sorry. See? They're counting. They're still counting. There's more there. They're counting. They moved to the different wall now. And this isn't cool, people. I thought nobody lived in that house anymore.
No?
I know that the people that were living there before were evicted. Disenfranchised, basically mostly homeless people, right? They were all evicted. Andre, just wait a minute. Andre, stop it! Andre! Right? They were all evicted. So who moved in? I don't know. Because the people that lived there before were basically homeless people. They got evicted because they were having little yard sales and garage sales and that type of thing in there, right? And the city didn't like it, so the city cleared it out. Basically shut down the house. But I guess somebody else has been still living in there, I suppose. I don't know. All I know is that probably about 7 or 8 people were forced back into homelessness, right? When you look at that house in terms of a small rancher that's on its last legs in a community that's being, torn apart to build in condo development and monster homes that nobody can afford except for a few select people, right? Okay, they probably don't want to be on camera, so we're gonna go now, people. We got looky loos.
Wait.
That poor young man over there,
No,
who was
wait.
just on the camera,
No,
is
wait.
probably homeless.
No, wait.
Okay, people. It is 3:17 a.m. March 21st, 2016. Hold on. Let's just zoom this in a little bit. I feel like I'm far away. Maybe that's too close now. Alright. Okay. So basically, this video is about drive-bys in the community. Because there was one there this morning, yesterday morning. 6:30 in the morning. Pow, 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 pow. Pow, pow, pow. There was several of them. It woke up the neighborhood. it put the cop line on hold. It was on hold for like non-emergency line. When in doubt, call, right? For 8 minutes. I'm thinking the BC Liberal government needs to hire some more dispatch callers. So anyway, what I really want to do is bring in some numbers in terms of statistics. Numbers of shootings. You know, instead of telling you what I've heard or what I've read on the internet, I can actually write it down and show you. But that requires space, that requires time, right? Energy. And that's just stuff I don't have right now. Because I'm dealing with my own drive-bys. And that is the medical kidnapping of Uncle John. Which has to be dealt with soon. But I'm exhausted, people. I'm exhausted with this yard. I'm exhausted with the paperwork. I'm just exhausted. Right? I'm in the process now of washing the dirt off my floor. That will take me another day and a half yet. Because I'm starting in a corner here and starting in a corner over there. Because the dirt in the yard just tracks into the house very quickly. So, see, if I had it on a chart, I could just blah, 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 blah. Make it official, right? In terms of, I was listening to the Legislative House of Assembly's debate there, briefly. They have the NDP caucus, they do their little postings, right? I used to listen on the TV with Uncle John all the time, the debates in the House as they were happening. We preferred it when there was no time restrictions and you'd go into the House and they'd have their debate and the debate would go until the debate was done, right? But the BC Liberal government, they changed that. When the NDP went down to 2 MLAs and the 2 MLAs were trying to be the voice for the community, kept up the BC Liberal government until 7 o'clock in the morning. They're in the House debating, and the BC Liberal government decided they were going to change tradition because it was traditional to let the House run for as long as the House needed to run, and the main debates were in the main chamber, not in these committee chambers. Well, BC Liberal government chopped it all up and put half of it into committee chambers, and you don't even know when they're on, and they're switching things around. And if you go to their website, you have to go through like 50 debates before you can find the one that you're looking for, and it's just like they've confused people. That's what they're trying to confuse people, right? So we give up. Trying to find out that information. And that's why I feel bad that I can't do the chart, because getting that information in black and white just solidifies what the point is that you're trying to prove, right? So anyway, through their one of their question periods or whatever it was, the NDP side was asking. I wasn't asking. Well, it was in relation to something, but they were stating that in Surrey, right? They have like a shooting every week. Last year it was 52 shootings, and there's 53 weeks in 50 or 52 shootings in Surrey last year. And those are the ones that are documented, people. Those are the ones that people talk about. Those aren't the ones that are shot in the bush and covered up and forgotten about until somebody comes along and stumbles along them, okay? I don't think this 50 shootings, I think that is a very conservative number, right? Because, the people that manage this stuff, they don't want to create fear in the community any more than it's already there. They don't want us to panic. But in terms of a drive-by, that drive-by is not even 100 feet from my house. So why wouldn't I panic? In terms of the 2 dead bodies that were just forgotten about until, it took a neighbor to call about the issues of, the homelessness, and if it's not that, it's prostitutes using that little cul-de-sac for their, downtime with their clients, and they throw their condoms out, and and the neighbors across the streets, which is a subsidized housing with children in there, they call the police to, do something to go see what's going on or something, do something. And the police, they're the ones who stumbled across the dead bodies. So as a resident to this neighborhood that is overpriced and puts me at risk of being homeless, like literally, it's overpriced, it puts me at risk of being homeless, but this is what people are paying for. Drive-bys across the street over there and dead bodies over there, because it's just a matter of time before something happens again. And if it's not over there, it's just over there. And if it's not there, it's at Popular Park, which is what, 4 or 5 blocks away from me? But that's not the only kind of drive-bys that are going on here. Uncle John was a drive-by. I'm going to use him as a comparison because that's the problem with society. We like to focus on the gun. Andre, I want to take my gun out. I said, no, Andre, you can't take your gun out in public. People don't like that. I have to teach him at an early age that he can't walk around in public. Well, it's just a water gun. That's what he said to me today or yesterday or whatever it was. It's just a water gun, because I bought him a water gun. He insisted that I buy him a water gun at the dollar store. And so anyway, I'm like, yeah, it's just a water gun, but it doesn't matter, Andre. It's a gun. In the yard, it's different because it's like, it's like open carry in the United States of America. That's like some guy with a rifle in his truck or something like that. He's driving down the road. He has a license, open carry, right? But to be walking around, yes, it's open carry as well. But, why encourage that at 5 years old? Right? But then on the other hand, I don't want him to be afraid of guns either. I don't want him to feel like he can't ever own one. I don't want him to feel like he can't ever be responsible with one. Right? Especially when there's irresponsible people in the neighborhood just going around shooting at things randomly. Because anytime you're shooting at somebody and there's other people around, it still becomes random because that bullet can go anywhere. It can ricochet and bounce off over there. Right? Unless, of course, it's being shot in a controlled environment, like at a shooting range or something like that. Or when I was like 12 years old, I was in school and I did something to do with like ducks and hunting, and it was in Alberta, so this was the curriculum, right? I had to learn all the different types of ducks, and anyway, they took us out to shoot rifles at those flying discs. I was 12. That was the only time I ever shot a gun, people. But it instilled a value in my brain to the point where I can respect other people having the right to own a gun and to use it for responsible purposes. Right? So when you see Andre running around with his little gun, if you know, I try and import, what are you going to do? Grow up, be a police officer? Is that what it is, Andre? So now we're going to put a star on his red car in the back. I'm going to bring it to the front, and I have to build a little seat, and I got some spray paint. Maybe we'll use the paint that we're painting outside with. We'll make a nice little red star. And we'll give him a name. So he grows up with a healthy sense of confidence, right? And learning the difference between right and wrong in terms of, no, Andre, you can't run around with a gun in your hand in public, even if it's toy, because it makes people feel uncomfortable. Because guns can seriously injure people, and innocent people as well. And those are statistics that you can pull in from the States. I mean, those numbers everybody knows. Right? But even still, it should be written down with the rest of the information. I just don't have the time for that, people. All I have time for is to sit here and talk about this stuff on the fly, as it happens. And after I wash my floor and I get into that little corner over there where I know that the Surrey Poverty Reduction Plan, because that would be those statistics, right? In terms of why this stuff is happening and why it's happening more. If we're getting, registered once a week shootings in Surrey, and the local politicians are talking about it in the House of Legislative Assemblies because they're getting concerned, because they know that the numbers are more than one a week, but they're just not telling you, then you need to read up on what other people's plans are that haven't come to fruition. I don't remember when it was written. I just know that I think I know where it is, but it's going to take me a little while to get to it. But in the meantime, the stuff is happening on the fly, so I'm talking about it on the fly. And I'm using Uncle John as a comparison because what happened to Uncle John is similar in terms of a drive-by. He was just gone. Right? We don't talk about that stuff because it's not as visible, I guess you could say. You know, it's a hidden crime. Right? It's not, holes in a house from a drive-by shooting at a house. Because that's what happened over there. They were shooting at a house. So now there's big holes in the stucco. Right? Well, in this house, the people that live in this house are the holes. Because when they took Uncle John, that's what they did. They basically drove by, grabbed him, gave a bunch of shots, right? Each person, and then drove off with him and disappeared. And we still have these wounds. Right? Well, I'm being taunted, people. I'm being taunted because what happened was my oldest daughter came by and she was asking me to move back home because she's tired and she's sick. Right? And she's not getting any better out there on her own, and she knows it. There's other underlining factors in there for the simple fact is what she did with this story that I'm going to tell you. So anyway, she showed up with some groceries. And I didn't have, I was busy. I'm busy in the yard, busy, right? So I don't like to walk to the store all the time because that's energy taken away from the yard. That's why I don't go out very much because it takes up all my energy. By the time I get home, I'm bagged for 2 days. From walking there and walking back and having to push buggies and pull buggies and all this other stuff, right? I'm in a worse state than when I first had my first 1 or 2 children. In terms of being that impoverished single parent. And I'm talking impoverished. The only reason I don't look like I'm in poverty, people, is because I've been collecting, saving, nurturing, looking after, accumulating personal little possessions along the way, wherever I find them. Right? 30 years, 25 years being a homeschool mom. You know? Almost 28, 30 years being a seamstress. Right? How about just being a mom in general and looking after Uncle John all those years? But in reality, I'm in poverty. When I'm pushing a buggy going to the food bank with $0 in high debt load, in a overinflated housing market, where again it's forcing me out into the streets or into worse conditions that I'm already living in. I know I kind of got lost with it because what happened was, get back to my daughter here, right? You know, she wants to move in and like, I wish I could have her here, right? I do, because I don't want her to die. And I feel that out there, under these conditions that she's out there in, she's going to die. It's just a matter of time. I've been saying it for a long time. So, you know, I told her, I said, well, you need to talk to your siblings because they're the ones that are downstairs, not me. You live downstairs, it's, you know, and of course there's boundaries. You just can't come upstairs when you want and blah, 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 right? And, so nothing was set in stone, right? Because she had come 3 weeks prior and was asking the same question. And, you know, the thing is, she'd come to the house, she'd change her clothes because she's still got some clothes here and stuff like that. And one of the sisters would come up and say, oh, you know, my boots are gone. I'm still having that problem, right? And I tried to explain this to my daughter. So anyway, long story short, I says, okay, look, I'm really busy out in the yard. I'm doing something. I'm really tired. You know, here's my bank card. I said, you go to the store and you buy me 2 packs of smokes. I have enough money to pay for the pawn shop, and I have enough money for 2 packs of smokes. Please go get me the smokes. Well, anyway, she took off with the card, disappeared, and then an hour and a half later, went to the bank, took out, well, bank machine at the Huskies over there, and took out my last $60, because that's all I had in there was $60, and I haven't seen her since. So because of that, I had to close, I had to cut off my card. Now, I know the Duncan clan is watching this and they're taking notes, but that's fine. That's fine, because at the end of the day, what they did to Uncle John was a drive-by. Okay? You tell me how you're sitting there one day, holding down the fort, looking after everybody as they're going in and out, including a 5-year-old. Because I was sleeping, people, for a week when I got that flu. And the second week, I wasn't feeling that great, and I was sleeping half the time. John was still active. John didn't get sick, okay, until about 2 days, maybe 3, that I didn't notice the first day. And I only noticed it when it happened because I had already gotten it. To be then sitting, and then to just disappear. While his sister is taking out 1,000 here and 1,700 here through transfer of email, because after I canceled my card with my daughter, I thought I canceled my card. So of course I have to go to the bank and get a new card. So I go to the bank, I go get a new card, right? Only they give me one that wasn't mine per se. I have power of attorney. I have the right to use that card. I have the right to make the decisions as to blah, 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 right? Because that was established a long time ago when John opened up the account initially, and that was at the bank's request, not at John's request. So he had to name somebody, so he named me. And he had ample time, with a good brain, to cancel that at any time, and he didn't. So I go, I have a little bit of money now because my daughter paid her $300 in rent. And her boyfriend pays $350, which is not enough money. But they're young people and they're just starting to work at minimum wages, and that's the best that I can get out of them at this point. Plus, I think my daughter's going to have to pay the cable because I just can't do it. So, of course, she's huffing around with that one, even though she told me she was going to move out. And then when I asked her, well, are you moving out? She said, well, you know, and I'm like, well, it's better if you don't, because, you know, I've got all these bills and I don't want to be stressing out with strangers right now at this point. And now it's my fault that she's staying again, because by me just simply saying, well, it's better if you don't, I've asked her to stay again, so it's my fault that she's locked into something that she doesn't want to be in, even though when I asked her, well, you are leaving, she said, well, I'm not sure now. It's like, it's bullshit. But besides that point, she paid her rent, and I took $25 and I put it in my account to pay my visa, my little visa, only it went into John's account. And the way John's sister set up John's account is I can deposit money into his account, but I can't take it out. She can do what she wants. I just hold the paperwork in terms of the legality part of it, because she hasn't taken care of that part. She sent me some little freaking note in the mail saying that all power of attorney has been revoked. And we already know what they did with the kids when they went to the hospital to go talk to him. Right? So then I get a printout and it shows me this 1700, being, and I'm going to the freaking teller and I'm like, well, what's this? And I'm scared now. I said, what, because my daughter stole my card, right? And I'm like, what is this $1,700 going through my account? Like, what is this? Oh, it turned out it wasn't even my account. It was John's account. So I had deposited the $25 into John's account because when I phoned to cancel my card, they accidentally canceled John's card. And my card was still active. So if I would have had money in my account, my daughter could have went off and spent it all. But I only had $60 in there, so I'm thinking for a few days, I don't have to walk to the bank, so that's good. The bank card is, whatever, it's she can't use it anymore. It's a good thing I had no money in my account, people, because it would have been gone. Whose fault is that? That's mine for allowing my daughter to have my bank card in the first place. But I wanted to see if she would be trustworthy. You're coming here asking me to move back home. Right? You're sick. We still have issues with your lifestyle versus our lifestyle, right? In terms of the hours that we keep and the people that we associate and why. And then there's other boundaries in there that need to be dealt with. And, you can't just come home and say, I want to move back in. Give it to me now. It's not that simple, right? So, anyway, I run off to the teller and I'm like, well, what the hell is this? I don't have this kind of money. Like, I thought my bank card was closed. Well, it turns out they closed the wrong one. And then I'm like, well, I need that $25 back because that's all I have, people. Right? That's all I have right now. And I have to pay my little Visa. I said, you need to correct this. You need to fix this and put that $25 back into my account where it belongs. And I had to get another card for my account. So I walked out of the bank with 2 new cards, people. 2 new cards. As I'm telling them, you better damn well give me some fucking photocopies here because I don't want to be accused by the Duncan clan that I'm stealing John's money. Or that I'm playing games. That I'm the one that's playing games here, people. The drive-by. So I told the bank lady, this is what time is it? Because I'm getting loud now. 3:41 in the morning. I told the bank lady, I said, this woman that did this family that did this shit to John is going to look fucking stupid. This is the bank manager. I sat there because I had to practically beg to get my $25 back so I could pay their Visa bill. Even though I have power of attorney legally on John's account. Well, everybody's just sitting around acting stupid about it. The bank is acting stupid about it. The fucking Duncan clan is acting stupid about it. There's only 2 reasons why she's transferring large amounts of money like this. And I'm not afraid to say it, people, okay? And that is either 1, they got tired of looking after him and they stuffed him into a freaking old folks home. And now he's just sitting there waiting for Debbie to show up. Debbie, a girl who couldn't take not even a half a day out of 4 years to hop on a ferry that would have costed her no more than $25 fucking dollars or $35 or whatever it is to walk on the ferry, to take a bus to come here to visit her adoptive mother. Not once in 4 years. And do you honestly think that these people are going to be going to visit John on the regular if he's sitting up in some freaking care ward with their busy lives? After they got tired of looking after him for the last year? Because why else would you take out $1,700 in one pop? Unless it's, here, we just don't want them to find out what care ward she's in because they're just bad people. So we're going to transfer the money from his account into my account. So through my account, I can pay the care ward to keep quiet. It's hush money. Or they're watching these videos, taking their notes, and they heard me talking about, well, yeah, he spends They're spending this, and they're spending that, you know. They're spending, what are they spending the money on now? Let's see. Not that it matters to me, because I got a backup fucking plan here. Trust me. And I'll tell it to you in a minute. Because it's drive-by. E-transfer. E-transfer stop. She deposits $1,000 in, then she takes out $1,100. It's like gambling. Then she goes to the bank and she takes out some more money with the card. This is a registered nurse, people. They like to eat at A&W. They buy a lot of fast food, A&W. Retail, McDonald's, Tim Hortons. Country groceries, McDonald's. Coffee shop. Anyway, now it's $1,700 at a pop. I don't know what the hell she's doing. But it's probably, like I said, one of two things. It's either to cover up her spending habits, because she doesn't like me talking about it on fucking YouTube. And she's too much of a coward to call me up and be a real woman. Be actually responsible. And deal with the people that they've injured. That drive-by is psychological warfare on the community. Is it not? Everybody woke up. When in doubt, call the cops, right? Half called, half didn't. Half of them called to hold up the freaking telephone line. So if people can acknowledge that, why can't they acknowledge what happened to Uncle John and this family? And if it happened to one family, it's happening to other families. Because he's either in a care ward, or they're trying to cover their tracks. Because they don't want me telling you that they went off to the liquor store and bought some booze. Or that they bought him some clothes and then took him back to the warehouse that they bought him at. You know, workman's warehouse, that type of thing. Right? So anyway, this is what I told the bank lady. I said, it's pretty fucking stupid that in about another week or two, and I'm going to do this, people, because I don't have no choice. I'm sorry, what would you do? You go to the bank, cancel your card, find out you have to get 2 new cards and walk out and be held psychologically on lockdown, right? In terms of, well, what do you do with this situation? Who do you talk to? Like, who do you talk to? Like I said, I have paperwork here that requires John's signature. The Duncan clan is waiting for me to be the aggressor so that they can come in and pretend that they have to defend themselves from the big and bad boogie woman. When in fact, everybody knows that this family, and including Uncle John, are the victims. But the onus is on the victims to have to defend themselves. So I have to take this to court, people. I have to find the time in my busy freaking life just to put everything on shutdown and get up on that SkyTrain. I've already told Andre, we're going to the courthouse, Andre. He goes, that's a long way, Nana. That's a long way. Because he remembers, right? And I said, yes, I know it's a long way. We're going to take the SkyTrain down. And when I'm out there, people, I bought some ink. Right there. Cost me $47. As if I can afford that. As for the nonprofit, and as I'm winding up with the nonprofit, I should have enough now, hopefully, to finish that. But now that I'm near the halfway mark with the nonprofit books, I can start getting back into this other stuff. Still not going to be enough, but it's going to be something. And I'm going to go downtown, and I told this to the bank lady. And this I told her, this is stupid. This is really fucking stupid, but this is the reality. This is what it's come to. When I'm out there at some point, I'm going to stand out in the street for an hour, maybe 2, and I'm going to beg for money, people. I've been saying it for a long time, and I'm not afraid to do it. If I'm not afraid to get up here and tell you this story, don't think that I won't be afraid to fucking hand out a flyer. Okay? Because I need help with the ink. I need help with the bus fare. I need help with the filing of whatever it is that needs to be filed in terms of documents and all this other stuff. I need help with figuring out how to write it all down in terms of through their forms and how you do it correctly so that when it goes in front of a judge, he doesn't have to waste his time. And I need to do this in a timely manner with everything else that I'm doing. So that's why there is no chart. I'm sorry, I just don't have time for it, people. But we all know that this stuff is happening, right, with these drive-bys. Well, the city is harassing me in my yard, eh? They tore down that little house. Well, they didn't tear it down. They shut it down. They flushed everybody out of there at one point. Because it kind of became a little hub for the most disenfranchised in our community. The ones that actually need some support systems in terms of, assisted living. And instead of giving them the assisted living, they just flushed them out onto the streets. Which is another form of drive-by, in my opinion. Right? Something else people ignore. It's too easy just to take that surfaced, oh, it was a drive-by. Oh, those people must be all bad in there. The ones that were doing the shooting are all bad. And the ones inside the building were all bad. So, because they were all bad, we'll just ignore it and pretend it, it won't happen to us as long as we don't acknowledge it. As long as we don't acknowledge it, it won't happen to us. And that's why it continues. Because we don't want to address the issues around poverty and that type of thing. Those numbers are important. I went to the food bank just the other day, and the new refugees are in. I could tell. You could tell. Everybody was coming in with their paperwork, trying to be humble. Right? A lot of young men. I've seen several of them. And of course families. Coming into a district that can't look after them. And that cannot guarantee them safety. And sure in hell doesn't want to bring in opportunity too much for them, because if that was the case, you'd be hearing about it. You'd be seeing it, and we're not seeing it, people. We're not seeing it. What we see is a lot of drive-bys in a lot of different sectors in our community that, people are just simply ignoring. And so anyway, I don't know. This is my commentary on the drive-by that happened just 100 feet away from me and my family.